Black Sheep recap. So, going into the day, I mean, you always want to determine your narrative, bias and narrative going into the day. I had Midnight Open down pretty nicely. I want to see us come back up into Midnight Open. I was actually looking for us to run out these equal highs up here. Pretty sure that this is going to be tomorrow's draw on liquidity. I did have a level around Midnight Open, which it ended up holding up today, so that's pretty interesting. But today is more of like an intraday trading day. Yeah, intraday trading day is what I'd say because it's way cleaner going, I'd say, this way. I was bullish. A lot of people were bearish. I was pretty bullish, if I'm being honest, just because of these equal highs. I want to see back higher. We actually opened up midnight with not much manipulation above it. I saw accumulation, manipulation lower. I was expecting higher distribution. We also had sequential SMT at these lows right here with YM and also ES at these lows. So I was confidently bullish. We're just waiting for a long setup. And what actually ended up giving us a long setup was the 4-hour power of 3. Now the 4-hour power of 3 came off of this accumulation, then the final manipulation, which this is the 10 a.m. open. 10 a.m. open manipulated lower, forming SMT at these lows with ES. After we formed this, we had... Actually, let's talk about the macro model, because you could look at the 950 macro. Because of the SMT lows, this is a high probability order block. So, I mean, there was another candle here. I don't know why my 959 candle was missing, but it was two down close candles. And overall, the down close move that was utilized for the manipulation, so that makes this the high probability order block slash macro CISD. And I saw this, or Simpa actually saw this, and he was the one that shot longs out for this for 150 points. Wasn't really hit, but that's still pretty good. On a funded account, 1NQ, he was up like 2.6k at his max up here, and it looks like it came up the way back down. So that's kind of it. That really sucks, if I'm being honest. But it happens. But you can see model played out really well. Another thing I liked, you can see during the 950 macro, we're just engineering liquidity at the highs. All the damage was done lower with no damage done higher, and we're below the 931st percentage gap. So what could we look for a continuation long? Well, what I mentioned was saying that this is a high probability gap right here, aligns with this. I don't even know which PM session first presented gap this was, but we also closed back above the 931st presented gap, showing that we're bullish. One of my favorite things to look for. So retracement into this high probability order block right here basically gave us confirmation that we're good to go long. And this could have been a decent long here, pushing long higher. What was it called? Fin. We could have Gen 5 this right here. This could have been a decent Gen 5 off of this. Consider this to be aligned with the first presented gap as well. So this could have been a decent one up to midnight open, which that was probably our best draw on liquidity of the session because we actually ran that stuff. We ran that out volatile, pretty volatile. Jeez. Well, we ran out the midnight open pretty nicely. How much points of drawdown did we incur? We incurred like 7 points of drawdown past midnight open, and we ended up selling off straight off of that. So 4-hour power 3 accumulation, manipulation. We're on buy side of the curve until we run up this. Now, after running this out, we are on sell side of the curve. Going into the 1050 macro. We can use 1045, whichever one you guys are more comfortable with. I prefer 1045 for some days. Today was a day where I actually like 1050. So, look at this. Macro Devil's Mark, engineered liquidity at the lows. This is just really obvious what we want to be looking for, right? We know what we want to see. We know what we're looking for. We want to be looking for shorts down to these lows. Another thing is, I don't think we got an entry for this price leg right here. But something I also want to mention is we had the manipulation to 0.5 of the range where we also come into this civvy right here. So bang, we come into the civvy, pretty clean, right? Come into the civvy, manipulate into 0.5 of the range. We also shifted market structure with these two runs to this low. We can look for a 5-minute change in state actually, because I'm going to see if we actually rebalance the range. We didn't actually reach it. I mean, we can consider this, but I prefer to see the highest up close candle now. But you can see this down close candle right here, rebalance the range. We would be looking for the first inversion we can find, high probability order block if we had SMT, if it was applicable, but nothing much right here. It doesn't really look like we had any entry until we got lower down to this macro civvy. So we would have to be using standard deviation from this high to find out what our target would be and see if it was a proper draw on liquidity for us to be taking a trade. So I can't really see much justification behind a short. We have second standard deviation here. I mean, this range is where we're going to be looking for a reversal at. Oh yeah, I should also mention the standard deviation that line down here with this low to this high. Here, nailed that perfectly with 2 to 2.5 for the 4-hour power of 3. Nailed this perfectly. This high to this low, ran this pretty nicely inside of the second standard deviation range. Did we hit fourth? Yeah, we bottom tick fourth standard deviation. We'll talk about whatever our line down there soon. A little bit of a start plat level. Macro? Oh, I thought macro would run this out. If macro ran to fourth standard deviation, I would ball out on this long. But we have this high probability inversion here. Didn't get tapped into. I don't want to get sidetracked. We're going to stay sharp, focused on what we're going to be looking for. So the only entry that we would have gotten by chasing one is this macro inversion. So if we were actually able to shoot this macro inversion right here, we target the second standard deviation or 2.5. And your decision between these two take profits is actually what's going to decide if you're going to be winning or losing. If you really need profits, target the second standard deviation. Always target the low-hanging fruit of the move. You always want the most guaranteed secure profit break even when we actually do run past this engineer liquidity, because this is the drawn liquidity of the move, and we also came prior to the macro devil's mark. Since we did not run out the macro devil's mark during, since we didn't run out the macro devil's mark, we actually engineer liquidity prior to it. That is what validates this entry here. Our narrative is clean. We run to the SIBI. We have a breakaway gap at the high, which is where our stop is going to be. This is a clean 1 to 3 years to 1 trade. We could target the low-hanging fruit of second standard deviation for 60 points. This is a trade that I like to take because I like the logic behind it. Engineer liquidity, inducement prior to the macro devil's mark. Once you run past this, then we cannot have any entries, or we cannot go break even, or no, we have to go break even, etc., etc. So we would have either gone break even or stop break even, maybe stopped and trailed profits if we were looking for measuring gap or something like that. But after formation of this gap here, we didn't tap into the gap. We could easily put our stop at the high of this gap or at the high of this candle and just let it ride, honestly. So that's how I would manage this short here. This is actually a really high probability short. I like seeing this. The only thing that could make this better is if we had SMT, so I'm going to look for SMT at the 1050 macro real quick. Okay. SMT. I don't really think we had any SMT. So I guess that this isn't really the highest probability setup for us. I would prefer SMT somewhere internally. At these highs, it'd be absolute A+ setup. We didn't get it. We actually got rebalancing either way. So I like seeing this as a setup at 100% take on a funded account. Without hesitation, I really like this. So going into the next macro, it actually looks like we came lower. Did we come into anything significant here? No, we just straight up accumulated. This is where we really want to avoid it. This is where we really want to avoid price. But delivery down to standard deviation. Fourth standard deviation. What I like to do, align this level up with anything here, and then I'll kind of like show you guys live how I break down these start plat levels. Starting from the daily, we're going to go for this. If this is previous day OTE or anything like that, then this would automatically be a level I'd be willing to take. So it's in close proximity to OTE, but not close enough. We're going to come back down to here. And you can use OTE from high to low, which is really weird to me how this works, but it works out really nicely. So I'm going to say close proximity to 0.62. Then I'm going to go in the hourly. We're going to look for probably hourly CE of this gap, and then we're going to look for an imbalanced order block, which we're going to look for an inversion gap on the 15-minute inside of this range. So no inversion, then we can scale down to the 5. If there's anything that aligns here, then we're going to be sending it for this level. If there's no alignment, then we're going to have to entry trigger it if we have good reaction. So looking at it like this, I really can't see much alignment that I'd like. Just talking about it quickly, 25th quad of a gap would also be nicely. But it's basically for the legacy students, it's aligning a bunch of key levels down to this point. Engineering liquidity prior to it is really good in my opinion. We don't really have much else to go off of, and I'm not really going to introduce some bogus PD array that almost no one uses just to catch these levels, because if it's not there, you're not going to make up logic that isn't real for it. All I do is stack what I know works, because I've done so much backtesting in the star plat section. I could actually show you. In the star platinum, I've been backtesting like all the concepts and my own conviction in them, like this. This is the wrong one actually. This is just old data. Let me get you the EDU for it. And then I'll drop this inside of the WAP and everything when I'm fully finished with it. But this is my confidence and conviction in these, confidence that they'll play out, confidence I can find them, the conviction I have in them. Everything is really fully outlined in here for what I look for. And I mean, I really just grade them based off of that. And those are the only things that I currently know and trust at the moment to give me like reliable bottom ticks. And if those aren't there, then I don't really look for anything else. I've been through Dutch, Soupy, Powell, really almost every single person in the game, did my research on them, see what they use, got all the updated leaks from my friends. and I know what works and what doesn't work. So we're going to be sticking with those, and that's really it. Maybe a line standard deviation, which I'm going to kind of use Soupy's logic for it, which is just slamming down a bunch of standard deviation, which is nuts to me, with wick, body to body, wick to wick, the wick to body, that type of stuff, just to find a level that aligns. Like this manipulation leg would also be counted towards it. We're going to see if it has any type of alignment down here, or anything that could make it somewhat aligned for this level. But 4 standard deviation, nailed. And in terms of entry trigger, maybe 5-minute rejection block would be the move. This no rejection block here. 1-minute inversion, change in state, not really any type of clean move right here. So I think that's really it. I mean, really internal, just accumulation, manipulation, reaccumulation, nothing too good. I'm going to be heavily bullish going into tomorrow. I mean, we have these equal highs. This is unfinished business to me. We expanded lower throughout the week. We're going to look for TGIF, look at the weekly candle. I have the weekly candle on my start plat chart. Look at this. I want to see retracement Friday into at least 30% of the weekly candles range. So we have a pretty long ways to go above us going into tomorrow. We have some federal chairman BS going on, but that's really it for me. If we do want to come lower, this is a very high probability wick theory in my opinion. If we're going to be looking at this, 0.5 this wick is good enough for me to try to, at the very least, go long or entry trigger along. I don't really see any levels to the upside. If that changes in the morning, if I see anything I like, I'll let you guys know. Call it out, and we're going to go from there. So, do we have any questions right now about model, star plat, like the Discord, black sheep, anything you guys want to know? So, what was it called? The more prestige student. This is like, how do I explain this? It's like prestige master student using trading like this. This is, I think almost any black sheep can really spot this and take this. Favorite time frame to, okay, I'm using Dutch's time frame. I really like the 5-minute standard deviation. I like using the London leg standard deviation as well. He doesn't really use it anymore. I personally still see it working, so I really like it. How would he draw it out? I think it'd be like this, honestly. And then we look for something in 2-5, align it. For me, it was these equal highs, which is why I want to see him today. We didn't see him today, so that's a shame. But I like 5 minutes, wick to body. Personal favorite. I'm willing to swing anyway, though. I really don't. I'm not really picky about it. As long as there's good alignment, I just send it. Yeah, I got you, Finn. Do you have notes? Oh, I don't really have. I think I might have notes actually instead of one of my older servers. I think I took the notes and put them in the old server. You have the leaks, right? I think you do. Oh, I have some notes. Wow. This is actually interesting. I do have some notes. Sweeps 2 power time from PDRA 15-ish 15-minute unicorn plus IFVG equal low sweep SMT turtle sweep. That's really good for fun. Okay. Don't really. Okay. I can get you those. So, is there really no other questions for no one else? Because I'm about to. I'll post this recap on YouTube. Shoot, I did make 1.5k on eval today though. It's not really something. I'll just do recap. I'll just say A21 recap. Okay. Any other questions? Do you ever know what streams on YouTube? Okay, that sounds good. I've been like Picasso on the charts recently. I've been doing generational stuff. It all clicked for me finally. Clicked again where I can be really consistent day in, day out. So, yeah, I don't really have any doubt. I did have doubts. I was so... Watching ICT makes me so mad. I rewatched a lot of the 2024 today, and it made me kind of lose my mind. The stuff he talks about kind of it changed my belief about the high probability inversions, because the high probability inversions that we fail to tap into 0.5 of the range are the ones that we expect displacement off of, which that is nuts to me. Like I might be able to show you an example right here. Something like this, we fail to tap 0.5 of this high probability inversion. When we close above it, we'd expect speed off of it. I want to find something where we do have, or an example where we do have that, because when I saw that, and when he started talking about the 2 different stages, like the one below and the one higher, there's 2 different classifications of them. It's making me go crazy. So I'm just going to stick with what we know. I don't really want to brain fog anyone or give anyone paralysis analysis, because that made me lose my mind for like 3 hours. I went through a rabbit hole because of that. Was it when? Yeah, it was actually from the 950 macro trade. I was going to post it, what was it called? I have it recorded on my YouTube with my trade. It's going to be in the vlog. Anyways, If there's no other questions, nothing else you guys want, just let me know. I didn't catch this, Sympho did. This is just the model doing its thing. That's really it. I don't really have much else for you guys. Hopefully you guys can take it easy. Maybe an imbalance order block can be here. Pop on the 15 minute, pop on the 5. There's nothing here. There's nothing. Okay. Which second one? No, that's just the I broke it down fully. That's just the model. I'm not really too active on trading today. I was gonna have an account and I had a vlog scheduled for a vacation I was gonna go on. I had a pretty major vacation scheduled, but because of my condition, I can't really go, so we're gonna be live trading daily. I was actually gonna put my funded accounts on hold, and only trade one of them to do the same stuff, like imitate another Filipino vlog where I just ball out, enjoy the vacation, stuff like that, but it had to get canceled, so it sucks. Word folder all day. I'll get back to you. I'm gonna check with. I'll check with all the firms. Anyways, there's no other questions. I want you guys to take it easy. Hey, bet twin. I'll see you guys later. All right.